What's up, everybody? Moonshot here with another Roll20 walkthrough. This time I'm going to be showing you how to use your character sheet as a player, what to look for, and how kind of gameplay works. A lot of it is going to be based off of this character sheet. I'm using this level 3 human warlock just as an example. Once you have your character sheet, the nice thing about this in Roll20 is that almost everything on this sheet is clickable. If you click what you want to do, it will automatically roll or pop up in the chat box for everybody else in the party to be able to kind of follow along. But let's start with the very top section here. As you can tell, this is where your character's name would go. I'm playing as a human warlock level 3 with the merchant background. If you're doing XP based leveling, this is where you would track your leveling here versus milestone. Proficiency bonus, very important, as well as inspiration, which I'm going to check because I'm playing as a human, so they should get it every 24 hours, and initiative. So when you're in combat, you can click this button when the DM says roll for initiative. There you go. Hit points is going to be here, as well as any temp hit points. So for example, I was going to cast like false life on myself to get some temp HP. I would put that number in here. On the right hand side is kind of your HP calculator. So if you get hit for 5 damage, you could type in the number 5, click the damage button. And similarly, if you were to heal for 5 health, you would type in the 5 and click heal, which is great. Thanks to the, I don't know, the party's cleric or whatever. Short and long rest here. Short rest will queue for you to roll hit dice per your character, and you can also checkbox a few other options like resetting temp max HP, apply healing, etc. But these are where the hit dice are for that short rest. So depending on how injured you are, you may want to roll 1 or all of your hit dice. And if I clicked this one, it'll roll in the chat box there, and you can kind of see under my camera. I got an 8, so I'm gonna have an 8. That's gonna be, I rolled a 6 on the die plus 2 from Constitution, and then if you click take short rest, it will apply it to your character. Underneath that main heading, you come to the abilities section. So this is where you do any ability checks or saving throws, if it's strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. So for a charisma saving throw, you would click on the box under charisma and above the word save, or if you're doing a charisma check, you would do the box on the left where it says ability underneath as opposed to save. Usually you use saves here. Saves are much more common for the ability section than ability checks. Similar to checks and saves, you have your skills. These are in alphabetical order down the left-hand column. The red dot shows that you have proficiency in that skill. So it's going to automatically add on whatever your proficiency bonus is. In this case, for a level 3 character, it's going to be a +2. It'll also show if you have expertise, which means you would double your proficiency bonus, but my warlock doesn't have any of those right now. The number in the box here is based off of that skills modifier. So for animal handling, I have a +3 because I have a +1 from wisdom, and then another +2 because I am proficient for that total of a +3. You click on that. Oh, I got a 22 on my animal handling check. That's not too bad. 19 on the die. We'll take it. Again, those are in alphabetical order, and the red dot signifies proficiency. Tool proficiencies are here. I got some navigator's tools, I think from the merchant background for my warlock. We'll get to the middle section here in a second. On the right hand side is going to be your armor class. You can drop it down here. So if she was wielding a shield, it would show a +2 here for a shield to add to it. Right now, she's not wearing any armor currently, so 10 is the base, and then a +2 from dexterity. Speed here, the drop down is going to show swim, fly, and climbing speed. If that applies to your character, you can add more details. Or if you're like, you wild shape a lot as a druid and you want to include some of your most used forms there, I'm sure you could. Any resistances, vulnerabilities, or immunities would be here. One of the more common uses of this would be like a elf being immune to sleep conditions, or a tiefling having different elemental resistances based off of which type of tiefling they are. The passive senses are here. Sometimes passive perception is the most often used here to see if you might just overhear somebody sneaking up on your camp at night. But passive investigation and insight are here as well. My warlock's not doing so good in those categories. Dark vision, I believe, goes in this category under other senses, which again, I don't have, but a lot of species will have dark vision there. Proficiencies and languages, only simple weapons. I could get her some light armor, and I probably will. Navigator Navigator's tools, this proficiency is appearing here as well as on the left-hand side of the screen, and languages. Now let's get to the real meat of the character sheet. This big central section. You can see these little tabs across combat, spells, inventory, features, traits, notes, and about. You're gonna spend most of your time, depending on what class you're playing, in combat and spell. Inventory and features and traits are great references, but let's talk about combat first. A couple of the basic combat here for my character is gonna be unarmed strike, not very often. Eldritch blast, that's a go-to. We have some spell attack here. I'll show you that on the spell page. I probably wouldn't cue it from the combat page. I don't think of Armor of Agathis as an offensive combat maneuver, and so on and so forth. It is gonna list your spells here, but again, I wanna show you what that spell page looks like. If, for example, I cast Hex on a player, again, I'll go to the spell page. I love this checkbox because that means that if I'm targeting that player that already Hex, it's going to roll that extra 1d6 damage. So I do love these little check boxes here. Agonizing Blast is gonna automatically, I'm just gonna have it on all the time because that just means I get to add my charisma modifier to Eldritch Blast is probably the spell I would use to add that. So I would just have it checked for the majority of the time to give me that +3 damage. That's based off of my charisma modifier. You have some other options for actions and bonus actions here in combat. Refreshing Step is a subclass feature for her. You can cast Misty Step immediately after you teleport. You or one creature you can see within 10 feet of yourself gains 1d10 temporary hit points, and then it has the 3 checks here. Again, the number of times I can use this is based on my charisma modifier, which is a +3. So I love that the checkbox is there to help with just tracking how many times I've used that subclass ability. Moving over to the spell page, for anything that is caster based, if you're a martial character, you're gonna just live on the combat page. But for spellcasters, this will show you your prepared spells. Cantrips are unlimited use, so there's no need to track those, but you can tell here these purple dots are how many spells I have to use. For a full caster, my main character is a wizard right now. They have a similar system, but it's red diamonds, and it will have a different number of red diamonds for first level spell slots, second level spell slots, third, etc. But for a warlock, they only have 1 pool of spell slots, and they automatically cast a spell at that highest level. So I would have 2 second or first level spell slots total, and then would recharge those on a short rest. So if I cast, for example, a Phantasmal Force, which might be a good go-to, definitely cast it at the higher level, even though it's not going to affect this spell in particular. The nice thing here is that you can check for it to use the spell slot. I'll show you what that looks like. You cast the spell, it's gonna show up in the chat box, the description. There's a detail drop down as well to read more information. But the thing is, because I checked the box to use the spell slot, now it deselected this marker here. So again, these are helping you as a counter for your spell slots. Listen, I only have 2 spell slots. I think I can keep track of that, but we like the visual reminder. I mean, I do. Inventory page is just that. At the top is all your coin. You can add or subtract the amount of platinum, gold, electrum, silver, copper, etc. here at the top. And then below, this toggle on the left-hand side of the screen shows if you have it equipped or not. So the reason my armor class right now is 12 is because I didn't have leather armor equipped. You can see my armor class goes up to 13 with just that leather armor added on. Probably grab a couple weapons as well. I don't really see a point in equipping things like a lamp or a backpack, but they are there. Below here, this is where you're to track all your other inventory. If you have a letter from your mom that you want to put in your inventory, you could do that by clicking add new at the top of the inventory, and you can type in like, this is a letter from mom, and maybe you have 1 of them, or maybe you have 50 of them because she writes to you a lot. I don't know, maybe. We love letters from mom. You can change the number of it once you've added it to your inventory. You can plus or minus, or you can just change the number to set how many letters you might have of that category. Things like potions of healing, rope, any of your common supplies, this can get filled up. Now, my wizard is the inventory manager of the party. She has the bag of holding, so her inventory page is very low. Features and traits is really useful, especially when you're first getting started and learning your character. This is going to be things like species traits. This is going to be your subclass features. And then if you get to like level 4, level 8, and you add a feat, that information is going to go here as well. You can see the class features first section here, and the little drop down on the right is always going to expand to give you more information. So this is more of a place to go for reference. We got some packed magic. Again, very long. I'm not going to read it, but it spells out out what you get from that. I picked Agonizing Blast for my Eldritch Blast to do extra damage. Got the Eldritch Mind, so I can look at that to show that I have advantage on Constitution saving throws, which is great. Species traits are here because I made her as a human. She has that Resourceful for the Heroic Inspiration. She also got Proficiency. I don't remember what I picked for that. And she has the Lucky feat, and the luck points are tracked here. Again, if you want to read up on any of those feats, they can be here. This is where you would add subclass features will get added here. Here's the subclass Archfey spells and Step of the Fae, because she's an Archfey patron warlock, so those subclass features are here. But when you add a feat, it's going to go here. When you get another subclass feature unlocked, it goes here. And so that's a great place for reference. Notes is a little bit more for personal use. This is where you put any allies, enemies, and sometimes your DM might ask for specific information depending on the world. Maybe there's specific factions and you need to have an established relationship with some of them. You could put that in here. Similarly, in the about section, this is going to be like your character's background at the top, their description, their appearance, and so this can be as useful or not as you choose to use it. I have seen some players that will use bio and info for that information to kind of share background info with their DM, so that could be used instead, but I think it's pretty similar, in my opinion, to the notes and about sections. So again, for this kind of main section of your character sheet, you're going to most often be using the combat and spells tabs, where inventory, features and traits, notes and about are reference information about your character. We're almost there. I think the last thing I wanted to show you about the character sheet that I think is helpful, at the very top here, if your DM asks you to do a private or a secret roll, this is where you would click that so that it doesn't display it publicly in the chat box. It would just be something that you and the game's DM can see. Or if you're rolling something with advantage or disadvantage, it'll pop up with 2 rolls in the chat box instead of just that one. So if I'm casting an Eldritch Blast with advantage, on the bottom right, let me take off my camera so you can see this. Ta-da! It'll show 2 numbers, and that little green arrow shows that because of advantage, it's going to go with the higher. Listen, I rolled an 11. That's awful for advantage, but it is what it is. Similarly, with disadvantage, it'll roll twice, and ooh, that's a natural 1. See the fumble here? But now you see the red arrow to show that this is a disadvantage roll versus the green arrow to show an advantage roll. A normal roll is just going to have 1. If I put it on automatic, and I got a critical hit. Let's go. Good job, Warlock. Thanks for the demonstration. So that's where advantage, disadvantage, automatic will help you there. Now, when in doubt, maybe you had advantage and you forgot until after you rolled. You could roll a second time and just take the higher of the 2 numbers. But if you want it to look a little bit cleaner in the chat box, that's where that option is for you. If you get to the point of leveling up, I hope the best for all of you. The level up button is here, which will bring you back to kind of that character creation menu, and will walk you through the steps for your next level up, including increasing your hit points, any additional spells or eldritch invocations that need to be chosen, etc., based off of what your character class is. Hopefully that helped. The nice thing about Roll20 is a lot of it's automated, and so if you're looking for what you want to do, you can click on it and it will roll it for you in the chat. Last thing I wanted to show you, because I almost forgot, on those attack rolls over here in the bottom right hand side. So I'm going to remove my camera because it's not ideally placed. And you can also click in this chat box on the right hand side. So this isn't specifically about your character sheet, but it's still going to help you with running your character. You can click the details if you want to see what was rolled. So this shows I rolled a 20. This shows that I rolled a 1 and a 13 in the parentheses there on the farthest right. I know it's small. And then it shows what's added to it. Charisma is a +3, proficiency is that +2. And then from there, you can click the damage button if you hit on your attack to automatically roll the damage in the chat. So on this one, it would have been a 5, but since it was a crit damage instead, it's going to be an 11. You can do the details to see why is it an 11, because it's on 2d10 for the crit, it's a 4 and a 7. So there you go. But it's nice to automatically roll that damage over here in the chat box. That's about it for now. Hopefully that helps you understand how to use your character sheet in Roll20 a little bit better. I think my next video is going to be on how to handle map controls, so stay tuned for that one. And if you need help with character creation, there's already a video out about that if you need help getting started with creating your custom character in Roll20. Good luck, gamers, and keep on being nerdy. Catch you next time.